To you. Happy birthday to you.
Go, baby. Go. Blow.
Yay! May God bless you.
These three people are missing.
From left to right, we have 4-year-old Miracle Johnson, 22-year-old Markayla Johnson, and 7-month-old Messiah Johnson. All of them were last seen on Orchard Trace Lane in Northeast Charlotte.
I just want to say, I miss my baby. I miss my grandkids. She was a good person, and everybody knows Kayla would do anything for you. She didn't deserve this.
On March 3rd, the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department sent out an alert stating that 22-year-old Markayla Johnson and her 2 children, 7-month-old Messiah Johnson and 4-year-old Miracle Johnson, were missing. She hadn't contacted any known family members, prompting immediate concern for her welfare. Markayla and her children were last seen near Orchard Trace Lane, which is in Northeast Charlotte. Concerned residents at the Orchard Trace condominiums, the home of Markayla and her children, say this is the latest incident to hit the troubled area, and they're on high alert due to the latest increase in violence. It wasn't uncommon to hear gunshots and witness an abundance of drug activity. Missing posters of Markayla and her 2 children could be found all around the complex. Initially, police felt confident that the trio wasn't in any type of danger. Little did anyone know, Markayla and her children would never be seen or heard from again.
Authorities say 22-year-old Markayla Johnson and her 2 children, 4-year-old Miracle and 7-month-old Messiah Johnson, have been missing since March 3rd. But CMPD just allowed the public to know about the disappearance, today. They were last seen in an apartment complex on Orchard Trace Lane in Charlotte, CMPD said Johnson hasn't contacted any known family members and they're concerned for her welfare. CMPD also says, quote, it is unknown at this time what Johnson and her children were last seen wearing.
Just before 2 p.m. on March 15th, CMPD were in the middle of investigating the Orchard Trace apartments in the 400 block of Orchard Trace Lane off Reagan Drive when officers discovered human remains. It was uncertain whether the remains belonged to one man or woman, or if they were from a single individual or multiple people.
Well, officials say details are very limited, but right now you see neighbors standing out here trying to figure out exactly what's going on. I'm going to step out of the way just to give you a better perspective. They say officers were out on the scene investigating when they ran across human remains. Now, they say the human remains that were found were in a concealed location, and they are not sure at this moment and are not able to identify any further details.
Investigators were focused on a silver Chevy Camaro relative to the disappearance. It had been parked outside of the second-floor apartment and eventually towed away for further evidence. Initially, CMPD kept quiet, not releasing any additional information regarding the identity of the human remains. Sadly, the truth would soon be revealed. Just 12 days after they were initially reported missing, CMPD would ultimately confirm the identity of Markayla and her 2 children. The tragic news left both the community and Markayla's family devastated. Who would do something like this, and why? Many of Markayla's friends and even family took to social media to express their grief, with one post reading, "Never in a million years would I have thought that something so tragic would happen so close to home. If only prayers and tears could save y'all. Kayla Bug, I'm so sorry this happened to you all. I'm gonna miss you until we meet again. No way my cousins are gone like this." Another post read, "I'm hurting so bad. I don't know what to do. Markayla Johnson, I love you, baby girl, forever, your best friend." The following day, family joined Charlotte Police Chief Johnny Jennings during a news conference, during which he called the triple killing a heinous act, while speaking near the area where the three vanished and were found deceased. Questions surrounding the involvement of a romantic partner quickly reached surface level, with CMPD remaining tight-lipped on the specific name or identity of the possible suspect. However, they did say the following. The person that we are looking for is within the states of North Carolina and South Carolina. However, we don't know where that person is at this time, but we are actively looking for them. She was in a relationship. That is the person that we are looking for that she was acquainted with. That is why we want to make sure that we know that everyone knows that it's not a random act that we're talking about. CMPD vowed to do everything they could to bring closure to the family and find the person responsible for the murders.
A grieving family stood behind Charlotte Police Chief Johnny Jennings after learning their missing loved one, 22-year-old Markayla Johnson, had been found dead in her apartment. Her two children, 4-year-old Miracle and 7-month-old Messiah Johnson, along with her.
We're going to do everything that we can to make sure that we bring closure for the family and also bring justice to the person responsible for these murders.
Jennings says they exhausted every lead into her missing persons investigation, and then they executed a search warrant into her apartment, this one right here at the top. It was also the last place that anyone had seen her. Investigators discovered the remains Friday evening. Jennings says the investigation is still in its early stages and authorities don't have a motive, and they also did not say how the victims died. Johnson's grandmother, Ramona, says her granddaughter suffered from mental health issues, but she and her great-grandchildren did not deserve this.
Who was to say a man that she think that she loved was going to kill her? And the kids.
A missing persons report was made on March 3rd. However, CMPD did not notify the public until March 8th. Jennings says authorities didn't know what they had until they dug deeper into the investigation.
Generally, we try to get those out as quickly as possible, particularly when someone's in danger or we feel like there might be foul play involved.
I just want to say, I miss my baby. I miss my grandkids. She was a good person, and everybody knows Kayla would do anything for you. She didn't deserve this.
CMPD, along with family and friends, are encouraging anyone with information regarding the murders of Markayla Johnson and her two children to come forward. The case remains ongoing.
Friday, March the 15th, that search warrant unfortunately revealed the bodies of all three, Markayla, Miracle, and Messiah. And behind me is a grieving family that lost their loved ones, and now have to move forward because of the hands of another person without their family members. This is difficult for me as the police chief. As you look at homicides that have been occurring across our city, nothing is worse than homicides of small children and family members, as we're seeing and talking about today. We're going to do everything that we can to make sure that we bring closure for the family and also bring justice to the person responsible for these murders. And we're going to continue on until that is concluded. And as we said, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to do everything we can. That includes a nationwide search for a person of interest that we're looking at this time. So with that, I'll take any questions, and not a whole lot. Please understand that this investigation is moving forward very quickly. There will be some things that I will not be able to talk about just for the sake of trying to ensure that we uphold the integrity of the investigation and also be able to locate our person of interest. So I'll answer any questions you might have.
Is this a local person that you folks are looking for, and is there a vehicle possibly that would help to identify the person?
The person that we are looking for is within the state of North Carolina and South Carolina. However, we don't know where that person is at this time, but we are actively looking for her.
Is that person a boyfriend?
She was in a relationship. That is the person that we are looking for, that she was acquainted with. That is why we want to make sure that we know that that everyone knows that it's not a random act that we're talking about. However, she was she did have knowledge of who the person was that we are looking for at this point. So they were in a relationship.
Is this domestic related, domestic violence related, or any idea what the motive is here?
Yeah, we have no idea on the motive. Don't know if we talk about domestic violence and what the motive might be. At this point, it's still very early. We won't know that. Again, at this time, we know he's a person of interest. A lot of this information will be coming out within the next couple of days. But at this point, we want to make sure that we try to do our due diligence to locate this individual and bring justice for this family.
Did that person have any prior violence or any kind of record or anything that might have showed that something like this could
Well,
occur?
at this time, it is, like again, early. I don't have the information as far as the history of the individual. And like I said, we want to be able to talk to this person to be able to get some answers as far as what might have happened out here.
Can you say how the victims died?
I can't at this time, no.
How did you guys know to get the search warrant for the property?
After you do a missing persons investigation, you basically have to exhaust all leads that you possibly can. At that point, within a week of doing the investigation from our missing persons unit, they were able to determine that all leads were exhausted. There was a potential that some sort of criminal activity had occurred, and we were able to get a search warrant and develop probable cause Friday. Yes, she was found in her apartment.
And were the children in the same area, same room?
The children were also found on the property. Again, part of the investigation that I won't get too much into, but all three were found on the property here.
Yesterday we saw a gray vehicle towed from this location. Are you able to confirm any connection to whose vehicle that is?
I can't right now, no. I'm not sure if that was the vehicle. There was a vehicle on the scene that we had an interest in, but at this point we don't know we'll have to figure out what the connection with that vehicle you're talking about is.
Obviously, Chief, it's bad enough for an adult to lose their life, but to have two children lives taken.
Yeah.
As a chief of police, what does that say to you about the kind of person you are?
Well, people ask me all the time, one of the most difficult parts of this job, and I have no hesitation in saying, is talking when we're losing the lives of our young people. I've been stressing for over a year or many years now, and as police chief, the tragedy that comes with losing the lives of our young people. They're talking about our future. So it is difficult, and what it says about someone who can take the life of children, babies, what that says about that individual, it's a scary thought to think that we have people like that are in our streets and preying upon our citizens, and we want to make sure we bring justice as quickly and swiftly as possible.
Is one possible reason that was done? Were we concerned about them being witnesses? I know that may sound kind of crazy, but...
Well, I'm not sure how much a 7-month-old can be a witness, but at the same time, I don't want to speculate as to the reasoning behind any of these murders. It's too early to tell, and those are some things that he might be the only one that can answer those questions for us. So that's why we're working very hard to try and locate this individual and get some of these questions answered.
Can you tell us if he was the father of the kids?
Preliminarily, I can say I don't believe he was. He was not. I don't think he was not. And also, let me just also be clear that we still have to get confirmation from the medical examiner's office. We're presuming at this point that all three were who we were looking for, or who I mentioned. But at the same time, the medical examiner's office on Monday will give us that confirmation.
Any other questions for the chief?
Did you find any identification on the body of the adult or anything like that?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, we can presume that who we found were the body of Markayla and her children. Again, that has to be validated by the medical examiner's office, but at this point, we're pretty confident that we've located all three.
Chief, obviously, it's not every day you have such strong family support showing up for a difficult thing like this.
Yes.
I know you've had a chance to talk to them. What does this mean when you see a family pulling together like this?
Well, first of all, I thank them for coming and realize how difficult this must be to come back here and to stand behind me. But What this does is puts a face. We talk about numbers all the time, and we talk about cases that we deal with, and oftentimes those are reported and then forgotten about. This is what we see right here when we talk about our police department and our detectives. This is what happens after gruesome acts of violence occur and we lose loved ones. And so there's a lot more to someone being murdered than just simply a number, and I think this is a good showing for that. And I praise the family to have the strength to come out and stand behind me. As difficult it is for me to talk about, I can't imagine the difficulty it is to stand here and listen to me talk about this heinous act. So.
Any other questions?
Chief, you may have already said, what were the ages of the folks involved?
Markayla was 22 years old. Her children, Messiah was 4 years old. I'm sorry, Messiah was 7 months old, and Miracle was 4 years old. So. All right.
The media wasn't notified until a couple of days.
I'm sorry, did I get something wrong? Miracle was 4, yes. Okay, yes.
The media wasn't notified until a couple of days after you guys were notified that she was missing. Can you talk to why it took so long to let the public know?
Well, you said a couple of days is when the media was told. I'm not sure about the timeline of when the media was told after but oftentimes you get a missing persons report and you really don't know what you have until you really start looking into it, talking with family members and seeing what we have. So, generally we try to get those out as quickly as possible, particularly when someone's in danger or we feel like there might be foul play involved. So, I can't really talk on when we put that information out, but at the same time, this is a gruesome ending that we never, ever want to have a conclusion to when we're talking about missing people. So, all right.
Has
Yes.
she ever reported any abuse or anything like that?
I don't have that information. That is something I'm sure will come out in the investigation. So there's a lot more information that needs to come out at some point. So just stand by. We'll get all those questions answered. We're hoping to have some additional answers even on the investigative end within the next day or so.